Pat, you ready? Good evening. I'd like to call to order the January 24th school board meeting. And we ask you to please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance and then a moment of silence. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic which stands one nation, indivisible. Thank you. My apologies, the flag disappeared. Oh, it's behind the bush. Okay. Okay, Mr. Howard, would you do a roll call?
Absolutely. Mr. Bushy? Here. Mr. McGeehan? Here. Dr. Frick? Here. Mr. Gerhardt? Here. Mr. Yazbay?
Here.
Mr. Linder? Here. Mr. Sensenig? Here. Mrs. Walker?
Here.
Mr. Clare?
Here.
All 9 members present.
Thank you. The January 24th school board meeting is open to the public and is also being streamed virtually. I need to inform everybody about executive sessions that were held on January 3rd, 4th, 17th of 2022 regarding personal matters pertaining to the hiring of our superintendent. Do I have a motion for approval of tonight's agenda?
So moved. Second.
Comment? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. So approved. Like to now turn this over to Dr. Hatton.
All right, thank you, Mr. Clare. In honor of the school board's commitment to our students, schools, and communities, January is designated as School Director Recognition Month. Pennsylvania Public Schools educate nearly 2 million students, including 3,000 here in Manheim Central. The 9 members of our school board are a key part of the district's administrative team, making informed decisions that shape our school district and provide a pathway for success for every student. Our school directors, who are unpaid, devote many hours per month to the challenging and complex responsibilities of school board business, including adopting policy, voting on budgets, evaluating school security issues, and reviewing hiring decisions. During this month designated for recognizing these public servants, please take a moment to express your gratitude for school directors' time and efforts on behalf of our communities. The job they do ensures our schools continue to provide opportunities for success for every learner. Let us thank them for advocating on behalf of our collective interest and for the benefit of our children. The Manheim Central School District is grateful to school board members Michael Clare, Stephen Bushy, Patrick McGeehan, Dr. Edward Frick, Charles Gerhardt, Robert Yazway, Matthew Linder, Andy Sensening, and Jennifer Walker for their dedication and commitment to our students, staff, and the community. We are fortunate and proud to have them as our Baron leaders. Thank you, everyone. We have a certificate for each of them. And then I will ask high school principal, Mr. Josh Weitzel, to address the board.
Okay. Good evening.
On behalf of the high school, we just want to thank all of you folks for your time and your dedication. We know that it's a tremendous investment, and we sincerely appreciate that. We appreciated the breakfast. Our staff really enjoyed that. That was a wonderful way to kick off Thursday, just for those folks to be able to get together and have that time of camaraderie, and then also to get a chance to meet you folks was quite enjoyable. For the high school's gift, we just like to extend that appreciation. We have a special learner at the high school that owns her own business and makes candles. And so we thought that would be a wonderful way to remind you of the high school and just the work that you do with a candle. And so I'll let you folks barter and argue over the cents to make sure that they're accommodating to your senses. But on behalf of the high school, we just want to extend our appreciation and say thank you.
Thank you.
Flannery for the middle school.
Our middle school administrator, Kathy Demera, is out sick today, so I'm reading this in her place today. School board appreciation. As you know, Manheim Central School District has been focusing on collaboration this year. Here at Manheim Central Middle School, we have been taking this focus very seriously. We started our school year with the entire district at the high school stadium to compete in collaborative challenges. I am proud to say that our middle school team was victorious on that day, and we still talk about overcoming the tense challenges of tower building and Connect 4. Our middle school learning facilitators were then given the opportunity to work collaboratively with their departments to create our one-word collaborative wall, which you might have seen right outside the auditorium. We even had our first annual collaborative cake decorating contest here at the middle school, where our learning facilitators worked together to create themed cakes. As for our learners at the middle school, they work collaboratively every day. Our learning facilitators provide opportunities where our students can work together during lessons and projects. Manheim Central School District believes that learners do best when they have varied experiences and are able to learn with others and have experiences that allow them to create and innovate. When it came time to consider a gift of appreciation for you, our school board, it seemed obvious to have our learners collaborate. Our STEM lab is fortunate to have 3D printers, so Mr. Funk had his STEM students create Manheim Central Baron tags, and Ms. Carino and Mrs. Hipschman had their art students paint for them for you. We also have a short musical piece that was prepared for you by our music department. Mr. Sigletti's and Mrs. Caravella had their ensembles come together for this collaborative piece. We hope you like our small tokens of appreciation. We are grateful to have school board members that believe every learner should be connected through art, music, athletic, or extracurricular activities, because we believe that everyone is valued for their individuality, and this allows for students to showcase their gifts and abilities. Thank you for all you do for our staff and students. Kathy Reiner Demera, Middle School Assistant Principal.
Thank you. Very nice. Thank you. Now need to, oh, more. Sorry about that.
All
right, first of all,
Mr. Painter and Mr. Kyle, thank you.
there you go. First of all, I want to say thank you for having us, and we want to welcome the new board members to the Manheim Central School Board, and just giving us this time to thank you for all your efforts and what you do. In true collaboration, as our theme, as you're seeing here, as our word for the year, as part of our difference maker attributes, we wanted to show the collaborative efforts that our elementary schools went to in order to put together the gift that Mr. Painter is going to talk to you about. But just a little background as how we got here. Our Service Learning Club met with all pre-K through grade 4 and discussed in the classrooms what school boards do for schools. And it was pretty interesting to hear some of the kids and have them share out what they do. So you'll see in the cards that you'll have in the bag some of those things that the kids said, but also you'll see all the signatures of all of our kids at both Doron and Barron Elementary.
Hey, thank you so much for all that you do. So within the bag, or within the basket, you'll find lots of things. We're calling it the swag basket. And what we want you to do in a year where we know things have been so challenging, we want to remind everybody about that Manheim Central pride. So you can pridefully display or carry around these things throughout town or use them in your home. So we hope you enjoy them. And most of all, look at all those wonderful signatures of the lives that you touch through your students. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Well, there's nothing below elementary. Thank you. Want to thank everybody on behalf of the entire board for what you've done. We appreciate it, and we'll continue to keep doing better for our students. Okay, I need approval, motion for approval of the December 20th school board minutes. First, second, all in favor? Aye. So moved. We need approval of the December 13th school board meeting.
So moved.
Second.
Question, all in favor?
Aye.
So moved. All right, now we're going to recognition of visitors and public contact. The board encourages citizens of the district to come before the board to present their petitions, inquiries, or other communications of interest. Board invites public comment on any topic that is within the board's jurisdiction, as outlined in Board Policy 903. Board requires that public participants be residents or taxpayers of this district. Anyone wishing to address the board during public comment will need to be in person. If you wish to speak to the board, please sign in prior to the meeting. Out of respect and time, comments should be limited to under 3 minutes. And I have it. Yeah. All right. The first lady to do this, Teresa Eshelman.
All right.
Is someone?
Yes.
Thank you. Hi, I'm Terry Eshelman, and I live on Crescent Drive in the borough, and I'm a graduate of MCHS. I have degrees from F&M in Millersville, and I taught mathematics in the public schools and also at Pennsylvania College of Art and Design. Because of the recent reports concerning the removal or banning of books from the school's libraries, I felt the need to address our school board at one of the public meetings. School board members are elected as public officials, and they need to represent the views of their community, not their personal ideologies. They are also entrusted to enforce the laws, local, state, and federal. To this point, in 1982, the Supreme Court of the US ruled in Island Tree School District versus Pico that school boards cannot remove books because they do not agree with them, describing libraries as spaces for voluntary inquiry. Although censorship violates the First Amendment right to free speech, Some limitations are constitutionally permissible. The courts have told public officials at all levels that they may take community standards into account when deciding whether materials are obscene or pornographic, and thus subject to censor. However, they cannot censor publications by generally accepted authors in order to placate a small segment of the community. In my research, I could not believe my eyes when the American Library Association's list of the 10 most challenged books of 2020 included To Kill a Mockingbird and Of Mice and Men. Neither of these books were challenged for obscenity or pornography. In fact, none of the 10 were challenged for these reasons. I then searched for the top 10 books challenged of all times. I was going to read them to you here, but I think I will, because of time limitations, I won't. But again, none were challenged for the 2 exceptions. I did want to mention that 1984 was on that list. I know why. The Caged Bird Sings was on that list. And again, Of Mice and Men and To Kill a Mockingbird, to name just a few. To further drive home the need to tread lightly on the concept of book banning, I will read to you a quote from Meg Medina from the Freedom to Read.
Excuse me, you have 30 seconds.
Thank
Sorry,
you.
thank you.
Free people read freely. Actually, what I'll do is I have several copies of this if you want to read it. Essentially, she's saying, if you take the books out, the students won't trust you and they will meet in secret. And it undermines the studied opinion of professional librarians and educators. And it denigrates the work of authors who are brave enough to name experiences that are difficult and real. I would ask this school board to accept their limitations in this matter as set forth in both law and reason, and rebuff any and all cause to remove books from our school's library. Thank you for this time, and I would be happy to join any future discussions on this subject.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Our next speaker will be Genevieve Zerker.
Good evening. Thank you all for all your service that you provide to our community and our kids and our school. My name is Genevieve Zerker. I'm a borough resident and a parent. I am here to speak in favor of a diverse and inclusive library. I'm going to start by reading a short selection from the book Matilda. The books transported her into new worlds and introduced her to amazing people who lived exciting lives. She went on olden day sailing ships with Joseph Conrad. She went to Africa with Ernest Hemingway and to India with Rudyard Kipling. She traveled all over the world while sitting in her little room in an English village. Later in the book, it says, so Matilda's young mind continued to grow, nurtured by the voices of all of those authors who had sent their books out into the world like ships on the sea. These books gave Matilda a hopeful and comforting message. You are not alone. The idea of books both transporting and welcoming us isn't just a sweet sentiment from a children's book. Dr. Rudine Sims Bishop from Ohio State University is often quoted explaining that books are sometimes windows, offering views of worlds that may be real or imagined, familiar or strange. A window can also be a mirror. Literature transforms human experience and reflects it back to us. And in this reflection, we can see our own lives and experiences as part of a larger human experience. I believe it's critically important to provide windows and mirrors for all of our learners. As in Matilda, home isn't always a safe or supportive place for all of our students. Sometimes school is the only chance for them to get to explore these windows and mirrors. One child's window may be their classmate's mirror. When LGBTQ kids see themselves represented in materials and resources at school, they report feeling a greater connection to their school. They have higher levels of self-esteem, lower rates of depression, miss fewer days in school, and have higher GPAs. In schools that utilize resources reflecting their student body, there are less incidents of harassment and assault in the entire student body. A perspective that one family finds objectionable may just be the perspective another learner needs to see. Librarians are trained to curate a collection of materials for all the people in the community, not just those who are the loudest and not just those who may be in a majority group. When books are banned or materials censored, it sets the example that certain ideas and therefore certain people, in this case our children, are not welcome here. You're telling them that their experiences are not validated or worthy. You're telling them they don't matter. Censoring our children's educational experience is detrimental to our kids, it's detrimental to our community, and it's detrimental to the foundation of our democracy. We can all agree that protecting our children is a good and noble goal. It's great when you're protecting your own child, but it becomes censorship when you're trying to decide for everyone else what is and is not appropriate for them.
You have 30 seconds.
The goal of public education in the United States is to create an informed, involved, and critically thinking citizenry. As parents, we cannot shield our kids from all of the parts of the world we disagree with. Our strongest tool is to teach our children how to use their own best judgment, how to vet information and consider it if it fits with their individual belief system. The school library serves as a point of voluntary access to information and ideas as a learning laboratory for students as they acquire these critical thinking and problem-solving skills. How can we raise difference makers if we hide our kids away from the uncomfortable, the exact catalyst for making a difference? To ensure a representative and inclusive library, I respectfully request that the school board refrain from commenting on the validity of school library materials without a transparent, formal process guided by school library professionals as outlined by the American Library Association. Thank you for your time.
Thank you very much. We will go into Superintendent's Emeritus report. Yeah, he's handing it back to me, which we would love to do. The board elects and appoints Dr. Ryan Axe as Superintendent of the Manheim Central School District, starting on March 1st, 2022. I need a motion on Dr. Axe's appointment.
Moved.
Second.
Any comments?
Very excited to have Dr. Axe join the district. He brings a lot of energy and very happy that he chose to work with us.
Anybody?
I'd like to say, on behalf of everybody in Manheim Central, welcome. We look forward to having you. Thank you.
The board spent quite a bit of time on this, and I think we have a excellent individual to lead our schools. This is a roll call for Mr. Howard.
Mr. Bushy,
Yes.
Mr. McGeehan,
Yes.
Dr. Frick,
Yes.
Mr. Gerhart, Mr. Yazway,
Yes.
Mr. Linder,
Yes.
Mr. Sensenig,
Yes.
Mrs. Walker,
Yes.
and Mr. Claire.
Yes.
Motion carries 9-0.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to present to you the Manheim Central new Superintendent of Schools, Dr. Ryan Axe.
First, I want to say thank you. I'm very excited. Before I get started with my thank yous, I want to introduce my family. My wife, Jen, she's a middle school teacher at Centerville Middle School, and family applause. This is awesome. She's great because she's an educator, so she gets what teachers go through and how things have been, especially this last 2 years, and that's been helpful for me in my role as far as when
we're working through things with staff and some of the things that they're superheroes in a lot of ways. And she definitely helps with that. Our son Connor's at Westchester. He just left yesterday, so he wasn't able to come back, but you'll see him around. My daughter Bryn is a senior in high school. She's going to Kutztown to play lacrosse, so she's also going to Maroon in the very near future in the school colors. And then Caden is our 10th grader. He's 16. We're going through the permit driving process right now with him, so that's always exciting. But nothing works without your family, as all of you know, and they've been super supportive of this whole process. And, I get home from an interview and kind of go over how things went, in my opinion, and it's been great to have their support. I want to thank the board, and I want to share with the community the interview process was really enlightening for me because it gave me a lens into Manheim Central that I did not have based on the interactions with all of them, how they represent the community and the types of questions that they asked. It led me to understand a lot more about the community and get a lot more excited about what's going on here in Manheim Central. And I'm thrilled to be able to be a part of it. I want to thank the community. Without the community support of the board, I wouldn't be here. So again, greatly appreciated. I want to thank Warwick School District and the team there, Dr. Hershey and her mentorship in particular. The fact that I'm able to start March 1st is a blessing because that's because of her flexibility. And, she said to me, Ryan, you need to go, you are in another district now, so you need to make that happen as soon as possible. So we greatly appreciate that. Like I said earlier, the more I've learned about the district, the more excited I am to get started. There's a lot going on here for kids that is really compelling to me, and I can't wait to get to be a part of it. The more I hear about the team, I'm excited to join the admin team, the staff, the students, and we will all continue to work hard for kids. That's the core of what I'm about, and I can tell that's the core of what this board is expecting and what our leaders here do and our staff, and that filters through the community as well. The last thing I want to say is education is fun, and we're going to make sure that our kids are enjoying learning at every level, because that's really important. Because if it's not enjoyable down the road, and that's not always going to be fun, or see some kids here, it's not always fun, but it's fun most of the time, and the payoff is great at the end. So the last thing I want to say to all of you is it's an honor and a blessing to serve this community in the very near future and its students. So thank you very much.
Ryan, or Dr. X, I did sign your contract. Now you have to get rid of all that red and black and get some maroon and gray.
I'm ready. If you have any links, send me the links so I can sign up and get some maroon gear.
I think, let's see, Mr. Weitzel, I think you can put the word out and get some maroon and gray, right? All right. Well, we're extremely happy. Okay, I'll turn this over to Dr. Hatton for the superintendent's report.
Thank you, Mr. Clare. We have 3 things to discuss with you this evening, and we'll start by asking Mr. Howitt to present some information on next year's budget.
After following that, I'm sure everybody was really here for the budget. But we'll dig into this a little bit. So on the board tonight for action is an opt-out resolution. And basically, that's a part of the Act 1 process. And the Act 1 process is for new board members here. It was a property tax relief bill originally passed in 2006 and amended in 2011. And the biggest thing it did was establish a cap for property tax increases at district, it as the base index. And so the index was kind of calculated with the idea of allowing districts to cover normal increases and inflationary increases. It does allow exceptions for certain costs like special education and retirement costs. And then it established a budget timeline that districts have to follow. So what is an accelerated budget? An accelerated budget follows an accelerated timeline. So a preliminary budget would be due actually in a couple days here if we follow the accelerated budget process. It's a more complex process, has extra steps, and it's definitely required if we were to exceed the Act 1 index of 3.4. And so what is the resolution that we're asking you to pass tonight? The resolution says that the district forgoes the more complex and accelerated budget process and agrees not to exceed the 3.4 index. That is my recommendation based on the early look I have at the finances. We're early into the budget process, however. The early look basically shows, as is normal for Manheim Central, there's no need for us to exceed the 3.4 index. So what revenue does the Act 1 index of 3.4% generate for Manheim Central? About 1.19 million is what the 3.4% would generate. I always like to show this because this is the increase in assessed value that we get annually. So there's two aspects to property tax. The first aspect is an increase in assessed value. So new properties, maybe a new warehouse is built, a new restaurant, new homes come on the tax roll. That gives us a small increase in tax revenue without even affecting the millage rate. So a 1% increase this year in assessed value would equal a $350,000 increase in taxes revenue before we even touch the millage rate. Right now, we're sitting at a 0.26% increase in assessed value. We think that that's probably going to climb to 1.5 because there's some properties that we expect to come onto the tax rolls. However, if you see the red trend line there, it has been trending down. We were experiencing 2.5% increases. Now we're kind of sitting around the 1.5%. So we knew that the growth would eventually slow down over the last 10 years. However, we're watching that a little bit. This is our taxing history. The yellow keystone and is the Pennsylvania Act 1 index. So that would have been the allowable taxes under Act 1 for that particular year. And you can see the Barron MC colors there are where we actually tax. And so you can see since Act 1 has been enacted, we haven't exceeded the index. And many times you can see there, we've not gone to the index, and 3 times we've actually passed 0% tax increases. Wrapping up the audit from last year, you can kind of see where we were at 2021 on the fund balance. I show this almost every budget presentation because for the board, it's a nice high level look at where we're at and what our reserves are and what our actual expenses and revenue has been, and then what our budget and projected are. So if you can see there in that green area, I wanted to point out, we have about $24,147 in reserves. Now, I want to point out that we have a plan for a lot of those reserves. We have increased debt service for the high school project, and we plan to use some of those reserves to offset some of that growth. And I'll show you that on the next projection sheet. So this is our kind of our 5-year window that we look at. I like to look forward 3 to 5 years, and I like to look back a couple years. And Mrs. Martin and I look at this when we kind of look at the budget and where we need to be from a revenue standpoint. And 21, 22, you can see down there, right now with the early information we have, we're looking around break even finish. Now, as more information comes in closer to March, we generally have a better feel for where we're going to finish the year at as we look at our projections. Right now, early off in the process, 22, 23 is showing a lot of red in there. Don't get nervous, don't panic. That fills in pretty quickly. So as the budget process goes on and we look at the numbers and we get some real revenue numbers and we get some real expense numbers, that usually comes back closer to 0. So don't panic about the red on that. Any questions? Again, it is my recommendation to pass the opt-out resolution and stay within the 3.4% budget index.
Are we voting on that now, or is that like?
General action. Thank you. Just to watching WGAL, we do have a new industry coming to Manheim, and it's going to be 74 new jobs, and it's a worldwide company. So we have that to look forward to.
Going to go right into the CTC budget. So you will see the CTC budget attached. I just want to explain for new board members, the CTC budget requires two contributions from the district. One is a share of the operating expenditures that are for the school programs. And then the other one is for a share of the 2015 bond issue repayment. The operating expenditures, overall, the districts this year are funding a little over 17 million of the CTC's $22.7 million budget. Our contribution is based on the ratio of Manheim Central enrollment versus the total of all districts enrollments. So they use an average ADM over a couple years versus the rest of the districts average ADM. And then that creates a proration. Our percentage is 6.385%. And we have 143 students enrolled this year. The district share, the total district share for all districts increased by 2.74%. By the CTC last year, it was 2.29%. Our estimated payment for this year is $989,000, up about 4.2%, or $40,305 from 2021-22. And that's just based on our average daily membership. So the second payment that we make is the 2015 bond repayment. And that's not based on our ADMs. That's based on a ratio of our real estate market value versus the total of market value in all other districts. And we have 5.706% of that share. And that yields a payment of $78,036. That's pretty standard year to year. It's pretty close to that number, so that doesn't fluctuate very much. Any questions on the CTC budget? You do have an individual ballot that's in your packet, and you'll have to put your vote on that and pass that back to me. And then there's a resolution that I fill out for the CTC and send over. So if you'd make sure to do that, I would appreciate that.
Yeah, there's an item in general action items, letter B, asking you to approve the Lancaster County Career and Technology Center budget. Again, that's item number 2. We'll talk about it later. Thanks.
Okay, and finally, going right into an update on our high school project. We have Jeff Straub from Crabtree Rohrball Architects here to give us an update. He also provided a packet for you at your desk.
Hello, everybody. And Brian, I believe we have this to pull up on the screen as well.
Yep, I'm getting it.
So back in September, we're sort of in a process right now, both for the board members that have been involved through the entire project, as well as the new board members joining us. We'll be coming to the board roughly about every 4 months with an update report. This packet that you see in front of you. So this is the set. We did the first report back in September. And if we jump to the second page of this, oh, is this in a, okay, so it was transferred to a PowerPoint. Thank you. So just the makeup of the report, pretty straightforward. There's going to be a one-page summary that we'll go through, phasing plan more just for your reference purposes, progress photos that we'll have in each of the report. And some of those photos actually will be from the last report and then from last week, so that you can see the progress that's occurred in the past 4 months for a comparison. And then we'll also have just some updates, an overall contractor payment log, as well as a change order log at the back of the report. This is probably the largest component of the report. It sort of gives a summary. Some takeaways for this is we're roughly about 260 days into construction. So We are, if you're looking in the upper right-hand of the report, we're roughly about 22.5% time-wise to the project right now. And right below that is tracking on bills to date, and we're 23.2% through construction. So those are tracking very close to each other. We are on schedule. I would even say, knock on wood, optimistically, we're actually a month or so ahead of schedule, but that can be absorbed by weather delays, things that we run into. There are some challenges that we are running into right now, and that's in the sort of the brief status report below. And this is just sort of a summary both on site as well as some of the components occurring in the building right now. Probably what the main takeaway that I'll leave you with is there were two major milestones or challenges that the project has been tracking really since the beginning of the project. One, and a lot of this has to do with what we're all seeing, whether we go to the grocery store, is just availability of materials. Steel has roughly been a 9-month lead time, and roofing materials is tracking at a 14-month lead time, which is 2 years ago, you could get roofing materials within a month, not be waiting 14 months. Though I'm happy to say that a week and a half ago, our steel showed up actually about a month ahead of schedule. And the contractors actually, I would say probably 2/3 of the new roofing has already been installed for the roof structure. And we'll have some photos for you of that. We do have some challenges we're working through right now on getting the roofing material. That 14-month delay that I mentioned has us tracking out to June. The contractors right now are looking if they can bring materials from other job sites that may be able to fill that lag time, and we've been working with the administration on that. Okay. Overall phasing report, and probably the takeaway is right now we're in phase 1, which is all the gray, essentially the front half and then the technical education wing of the building. And then phase 2 next year will be really moving to the back half of the project. So there are some sub phases in here. Again, this is a takeaway for all of you as the board, but really think of this as two major components. It's essentially the front of the building, and then the rear of the building will be the last year and a half of the project. And then you'll also see the modular classrooms over along Hershey Drive occurring. Okay. Some other takeaways is while we are focusing on phase 1, the contractors actually have absorbed some phase 2 work. For instance, back classroom additions have occurred ahead of schedule. The new parking lot was scheduled to be phase 2. It's already complete. Contractors wanted to complete that early in the project so they can use lay down. So that's going to help us when we get to the second half of the project. Okay, it's a little hard to see these photo reports, and I'm not going to go through every single image for you, but maybe just give you an overview. So the first 2.5 pages, what you're seeing is sort of two comparison pages. So this is, for instance, the main entrance area of the building. So you're seeing photos from that last week on January 19th, as well as just from September 27th. So in September, really, we had cleared out the whole main hallway and main entrance in front of the auditorium. Now the walls and the steel is beginning to go up. You'll see at the bottom of the page, back in September, we really just had the foundations in for the new 4 classroom addition on the front of the building. That is now the walls are completely up, and as of last week, the roof deck has been installed. So we've made some huge progress in that area. So on the back of the building, some of the additions that I spoke of that were in phase 2 of the project are already nearing enclosure. So this was back in the fall, and now the walls are completely up. The yellow that you see is actually the spray foam insulation for the building before the brick will be installed. And then also that 4 classroom addition from the ground level. You can see what was the foundations back in September, and now walls are completely installed with window openings, etc. And then just moving inside, this is the old library. We now have actually ductwork that's been staged in all of the addition areas. Some of the steel columns are up, and beams are ready to be installed. I think all but 1 truckload is on site for the steel that I mentioned was really a large milestone for us recently. Back of the building, the science classroom wing, now walls are all up, as well as the exterior envelope has been installed. Band room is up, which had not occurred 4 months ago. Really, the majority of all the rough-in plumbing is installed. These are actually restrooms outside of the auditorium. And then just moving around the building, existing gymnasium, we're actually converting some of that to both storage as well as performing arts storage. In the existing building, in sort of the 1000 corridor, some of the, the nurses suite is installed, as well as some of the administration wing. Again, some of the mechanical equipment that has just showed up in the last couple of weeks is now staged and ready to be installed, as well as piping. It's a little hard to see in this photo, but piping, electrical work is also moving forward. With all the walls now installed, we're really in a position where we can move very quickly, or all contractors are on site. When we presented in September, really just the plumber and the general contractor were on site. So, and then these are just areas that just in the last week and a half, we received the roof structure and the roof decking is installed. So agricultural shop, art classroom, and then the exterior with the insulation. The masons still have their equipment up. They're essentially waiting right now for the weather to break, and they will start installing the final brick on the building. And just a blow up of some of that building insulation, as well as some of the wrap for making sure that the building is weather tight. We are inspecting that both with your construction manager, our staff, as well as district staff. And then you can see some of the brick is actually staged on site and ready to go as soon as the weather breaks. So that's a quick photo report. I mentioned earlier that roughly the project, as far as cost-wise, is 23%. And this is just the breakdown. So not that we're going to go through that, but that's more for your reference for the board. And again, this report will continually update every 4 months so that you have a running track record. If you wanted to step back, say 2 years from now, you can sort of see a glimpse where we were at that time period and tracking for each of the contractors throughout the project. This document also tracks the duration of time, which was on that summary page for you. So really, this is supporting that summary page that you saw previously. We're also tracking contingency on the project. I'm happy to say we're at roughly 0.36% change orders. It's an additions and renovations. Unfortunately, we do have change orders and we are tracking those. We'd love to have none, but I'm happy to report we're under the overall contingency fund for the project right now. Probably some of the largest challenges we've run into at change orders, as an example, is we discovered in the old auxiliary gym that's being converted to food service. Typically, in an existing building, all floors are concrete. It was actually discovered that there were 2 sets of documents produced for that auxiliary gym in the past when it was built, and instead of having a concrete floor, it had an asphalt floor. And it was just one of those nuances during design. We were aware of the concrete floor. Everybody was taken aback when we discovered that there was asphalt in that location. So those are some of the things that until you tear up a floor, you don't discover those things. So we are tracking those. And finally, again, this is more takeaway for you as a board. I mentioned that percentage for the contingency, but in every report, you will have this overall change order log that tracks every change order that has been approved by the administration and the board, any change orders in yellow that are currently in process. And then we also track whether it's an owner request, an unforeseen, an omission, an error, so that we're all sort of discussing that through the project with you. Okay. Very minimal change orders for plumbing, electrical, fire protection, but we are tracking those. And then a summary at the end of that. So again, this is the overall structure of that report. More than open to any questions you would have. And again, I think also is not just providing this report, but that we come before you roughly every 4 months to answer any questions that you might have with the project.
Thank you, Jeff.
Okay.
I wanted to also point out that our construction manager, Ed Consolo, is here tonight. Ed, do you want to stand up? Sorry to embarrass you. Ed's doing a great job so far in the project. He's our eyes and ears on the site and making sure that things get done to specification. I just wanted to point out that you can see it's kind of a mess over there. It's kind of a mess in the building too. And Mr. Weitzel and his staff have done a heck of a job, I think, logistically so far this year, working around the construction. So I just wanted to point that out, that those are kind of the things that don't get seen that have to get done. But that's a huge task to move through the phases. So hats off to him. That concludes my report.
All right, thank you, Mr. Howard.
Thank you.
Thank you for your time. Have a good night.
Thanks. Great job for the update. All right, our Assistant Superintendent's report, Dr. Flannery.
Thank you. I'm actually adding a piece on today because we have some students present today. So I'm going to ask Mrs. Anderson to come forward as I give a little intro to why we're adding her into the agenda today. Last year, we had 8 students that went to states for FFA career development events. And that's not only an extraordinary number, but these students also went on to compete at the national level. And so Mrs. Anderson and her students are here to share a little bit about their experiences. And I don't know if I'm spilling the beans about Anna or you're spilling the beans about Anna. Okay, go for it. Thank you.
So I guess we're here tonight because these students would have been the students of the month back in December. I want to begin by saying that I've been teaching agriculture for 28 years, and I have friends and colleagues that teach agriculture education from across the country. And I am constantly reminded what a privilege it is to work in a district that celebrates success in all of its forms, whether it's academic, athletic, the arts, or in the case of our students, agriculture tonight. At Mannheim FFA has been preparing students to become leaders in the agriculture industry and the community at large since 1938. It's been running continuously in all of that time. This is just the latest generation, although in some cases their parents were members of the FFA chapter as well. One of the things that we take a lot of pride in is that our competitions are based around career success, and there are 26 state competitions that run every year. As you can imagine, in 2021, everything was shut down. It was unheard of that we would run virtual contests at the state level, because most of these contests are skills contests. They're very hands-on. There's a knowledge component and a practical component to every contest. Traditionally, Mannheim has done very well, and we usually have teams that win, which is like having a state championship team every year. We're pretty proud of that. But we didn't know what would happen in 2021. And when the dust finally cleared, we had 2 teams of students that won their state competition, actually having done it virtually by recording videos and judging video classes of livestock. So the students that were able to join us tonight are Anna Haldeman and Ellie McCabe, 2 of the 4 students who represented us in the state, who won the state nursery landscape contest. And the remaining young men to my right, Tyler Zimmerman, Dylan Lee, Luke Snavely, and Eric Zimmerman were the state-winning livestock evaluation team. So after winning the states, we weren't sure what was going to happen, if field trips were going to resume, if we were going to have the opportunity to go to the national competition in October. And we are ever so grateful that you did. So I thought I'd give them just a minute of your time to share their experience and what they learned from doing this competition. So Eric.
So good evening. I am Eric Zimmerman, a junior at the high school. I'm a member of Mannheim FFA's livestock evaluation team. Although I couldn't do it by myself, as the other members of the team, I'm very grateful for Tyler, Dylan, and Luke. Our journey started back, like Mrs. Anderson said, in spring of 2021. We completed the virtual state competition of judging 8 classes of virtual animals there. Yeah. And then we gave sets of reasons there. And from there, we traveled to the FFA state convention to find out how our team placed. And when we were up on stage, it was announced that we were the first place team. Tyler was also the first place individual, and I was the second place individual in the state. The next step from there was Indianapolis. And throughout this time, until then, we were, as a group, we were studying with Mrs. Anderson and a past Mannheim Central alumni, Adam Zerman. This would be the first time that anyone on the team had traveled to nationals. And before I go any further, we have to thank Mr. Esch, as he filled in as a male chaperone on short notice. We left October 25th at noon to make the 9-hour journey in 2 different legs. Then on Wednesday, we got up early and had our competition. We had to be at our competition at 6 a.m. Our livestock judging competition involved placing a class of 4 animals, whether it was beef, sheep, or swine. And we did goats at nationals. We also had to give a short speech with our reasoning with 15 minutes to prepare. And livestock judging teaches us how to be decisive and back up our reasoning. Then at the competition, we judged 11 classes and gave 4 sets of reasons. Then the next day at the awards ceremony, we found out that Luke was 25th in the nation out of over 200 people competed that day. Our team as a whole was 14th in the nation out of over 40. So we'd like to thank you all for allowing us to experience this, as we've created lasting friendships and many memories. And on top of that, we learned valuable skills of public speaking, decision-making, and livestock evaluation. We're looking forward to this year's upcoming career development events, as we are already practicing. My brothers and I are on the farm business management team, and the courses this year in school have helped me too, as I've taken accounting and beef, sheep, swine management. So on behalf of the Manheim FFA, thanks again.
So we had one additional, thank you. And one additional surprise this weekend, we thought we would share it with you. Anna Haldeman, our chapter president and member of the nursery landscape team, was last October elected the Manheim Farm Show Queen. Now, there was not a lot of competition for that title, as I recall. She might have been the only person who ran, so she wasn't really sure. It was a short notice dropout, yes, but she was in fact the Manheim FFA candidate for the Manheim Farm Show Queen, and she was in fact elected Manheim Farm Show Queen. This past weekend, she went to Hershey, where she competed in the state fair queen pageant, I guess. It's a competition, it's not really a pageant, where they speak and they represent their fair to all of the judges, and it's, I don't know how many fairs are there, over 100.
There's 108 in the state.
Yes.
And there was 55 other queens competing this weekend.
And she won the entire thing. Only state fair queen we have had from Manheim, Pennsylvania, and we are incredibly proud of her. And she will be representing Manheim and all of the fairs in Pennsylvania for the coming year. So thank you again for supporting our agriculture program and helping us provide these students with these opportunities.
Thank you for your presentation, and members of FFA, we will not look at you funny if you decide to leave right now. Okay. Good night. Thank you, guys. The next official item in my report is just a review of the survey data from the flexible instructional day. As you may be aware, on January 7th, I believe we used our first flexible instructional day. The flexible instructional day is a new type of day the state has given us to be able to use in place of a snow day. And it's usually done in a virtual or a pencil and paper send home format. So we sent out a survey, and I'll tell you what, there was 1,528 responses. That's more responses than we've had even from some of our surveys going back a year and a half ago to returning to school from COVID. So the response rate was awesome. And you can see that we had a large number of learners and a large number of parents and guardians respond to the survey. You can see on the right-hand side, the schools that participated, the rates they participated at. So for parents, a pretty even distribution amongst the schools. And for our learners, we had a pretty high rate from the middle schools, the red area up there, if you can't see it from afar. So here's some of the questions we asked on the survey. The first one was about internet availability. The students had the ability to complete work either in pencil paper format or in electronic format, depending on their class and their teacher. So internet use was a big piece for us. And you can see that there is a large percentage of students that do have internet access at home, which is what we knew and we were banking on, but we wanted to see how it worked this first time. You can see there's a white gap in the chart represented on the left-hand side. This is students who said, I had the internet, but it might have gone in and out during our use. So we're going to be looking to see if there's ways we can improve that piece. The second question we asked was about the work assigned. Oh, sorry. On the back, got it. The second question we asked was if they understood the directions for the day, because it was pretty involved and it was the first time we ever did it. So you can see that our scale was a 5-point scale going from strongly agree to strongly disagree. And the results that are large at the bottom are a conglomerate of those that agreed and strongly agreed. So the learners, 83% said they understood the directions. And in a different way, 83% of the parents said that they understood the directions. Slightly different makeup there. The neutral category, if we add that in together, there we're definitely high into the 90s for the response rate. The second question, or the third question was, were the assignments accessible? So whether it was pencil paper format or electronically, could they access everything they needed to? And you can see here, we're in that 87 to 89% range again, with strongly agree and agree. We wanted to make sure they had required materials. So for things like art class or any of our specialty subjects, did they have what they needed to do the work that they were presented? And you can see we're in both graphs at the 90% range here. So it's nice that they had the work, but did they do the work? So we asked the students and the parents, did you complete the work that was assigned to you? And you can see that here we're between the 82 and 87% range. And the reason those numbers might be different is the students took the survey separate from their families at times. So it might not be the same group that we're looking at in terms of responses. Were teachers and staff available? We wanted to make sure that our staff was available to students to check in during the day. And you can see that we're in the 70 to 78% range there. But there's a lot of, there was an item here for other. There was a response choice other. And I put some of the bullets up here of what the other responses were. And you can see primarily the people that chose other said that they know their teachers were available, they just didn't need them or not applicable to me. So that's a little bit about teacher availability. So was it a positive experience overall? You can see that 68% said strongly agree, and from the parents, 72% said strongly agree. You can see that yellow part is fairly large. That's our neutral group there. We also wanted to think about the amount of work. When we were closed for COVID at times over the past 2 years, there was a lot of going back and forth about, is the work too easy? Is it too hard? Is it too much? And you can see we maybe found the sweet spot a little bit. 78% of the students said it was just right. 8% it was too hard, and 6% said it was too easy. And for the parents, we were at 82% just right, 5% too hard, too hard, and 12% too easy. And then again, that white space represents an open-ended question. And you can see there that a lot of students said it was just between too easy and too hard, but they didn't pick just right. But that's okay. Those are some of the responses there in that other category. One of the things that we didn't ask on the survey, but we checked, is what was our attendance rate that day? And so attendance on these days is judged by work completion, according to the state. Did students complete the work? That's how we can determine attendance. And so I have up there, let's start at the bottom actually with Barron and go upwards. I'll save the high school for last because it's calculated slightly differently. So normally we would have about 20 absences on a day, any given day at Barron. And on the FID, there was 22 absences. So 2 absences more than usual. Doe Run was trending 7 students over. The middle school was about 60 students more than normal. And then the high school is kind of a different way to calculate, because usually the high school tracks attendance by the day, as students either there or they're not there. And so normally we would have about 45 students absent at the high school. So the first number at the top says there was only 9 students that were absent for the day. So 9 students didn't do any work for the day. But you can see that half-day absences, which would reflect 1, 2, or 3 periods of work incomplete, was 146 students. So students are completing some work, but one of the things we want to improve is to make sure they're completing more of the work that's due for the day. There was a spot for comments at the end, and I just literally copied and pasted the trends of the most common the comments that were there. They represent students and or parents. So the first one says, it worked well. The teachers were accommodating. The second one, common theme was, if we could make the call earlier the night before, it'd be helpful for planning. This was a student one. I put this up there to show the kids added hearts. I don't even know how you do that in a survey, but they figured that out. So this particular student said it was awesome, but I'd rather be here in person. And then the next student said, it took too long and took time from my dad of playing with my sister in the snow. And that was a theme from kids. They either loved it or they wanted to be outside playing in the snow. Parent said, some parents just said, let them have snow days. They prefer a traditional snow day. And other parents said, please keep this as an option so we don't have to tack days on the end. And I'm not surprised that, just like we heard about virtual learning in the past, some people liked it, some people didn't, and this would show the same thing. I think what I would tell you is we do plan on using traditional snow days when it's very clear cut that it would be a snow day, a large snow event. But these FID days are nice to have when there's an iffy day that we're not quite sure, or just to give another option, if there's a multiple snow day event, we would have an FID day to be able to use to not then have a 3-day snow closure. So we're going to be looking at improving the attendance rate for the students, making sure they understand the work, and then just keeping that communication up for families. Any questions about the FID information? So thanks to all of the families that took the time to fill that out. It was very, very helpful to us to shape our work moving forward. The next item on my report is the review of our health and safety plan. The ESSER ARP grant money requires that we review our health and safety plan every 6 months as an organization. This is our 6-month review. It's actually the document. Yeah. So this is the exact same document you would have seen us present back in that July, August, September timeframe that we looked at. And the first page just kind of goes over the rules, but you can see the date at the top reflects today because we're reviewing it today. If we go down to page 2, these are the required categories the state asked us to report on. And if you go, the top one said masks, which we had said was mask optional, pending any legal and binding legislature. Part B said physical distancing, and we had said we wanted to keep the school year as normal as it could be for students, and we weren't going to separate them as we had in the past with those alternate seating arrangements in the cafeteria and in their classrooms. Hand washing etiquette, cleaning etiquette, those pieces are remaining the same as last year. Contact tracing and quarantine and isolation. I did get some questions from folks saying, well, do you have to change your health and safety plan because the isolation period has been brought down to 5 days? Well, the way we wrote the plan, it's saying to look at the guidance and reflect what we're doing in our guidance. So there's not a need for a change there in the plan. It's just our procedures internally that have changed to reflect the guidance. In terms of screening or vaccination, we're basically saying that people need to screen themselves for symptoms, and that vaccination, we would pass on opportunities to the community. As you know, we're required to allow accommodations for individuals that need them, and we would be coordinating anything we do with health officials, state and local level. So there's nothing on this plan that has changed from the last time, and we would be asking you to just note that we're reviewing it at this time moving forward for ARP. Any questions about item B? Yeah, the final item on my report then is just a review of one of our procedures. This is not a policy nor part of our health and safety plan, but something that I wanted to point out on the website. I get a lot of questions from families about our data surrounding our numbers. We just thought I'd take another time to explain what's reported here. So this page on our website is updated during the week with the data we get from people that inform us they have COVID. And so we used to do the data Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, but we got some comments from parents saying, how do I make a decision about Monday when the data is from Friday? So we changed it to Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, as long as it's a school day. There are times that we might have an administrator, meaning myself, out. I'm the one that does this count, or we would have a nurse out. And there have been 3 occasions where the chart hasn't been updated on a particular day this school year because of us, someone being out. We won't put information up here unless we have it, accurate for everyone to see. So the top chart reflects how many students or staff members have COVID at this given time that they've reported to us. And this would be reflective of the last 5 days, their isolation period. So I count this today. If they have been in school and have COVID, they're on this chart today. The bottom graph is the one that's a little harder to understand sometimes. The bottom graph shows what we're doing in a 14-day period. So back when we started, the state had some recommendations regarding closures and regarding layered mitigation strategies involving masking and involving school closure. They've changed as we've seen the legislation change and we've seen things go to the court in terms of legality with masking. So if you look at the far right, you'll see the number of students and staff that have had COVID within the last 14 days. And so where we need to look to today is at the 3% layered mitigation strategy. This is something that in August was a recommendation in terms of masking before we had, heard some of what was going on from the state legal challenges. So one of the things we are looking to change at this time is when we hit a 3% threshold, we would be contacting families to inform them. I think you probably all saw an email that went out at the start of the year that explained our system. And we would be asking for a strong recommendation for masks from all of our students at that time, but not going to mask required, which is more of what we had seen back in August at that time frame. So that would be a change to our procedures that is taking place internally. The 5% closure threshold would still be a consultation with the Department of Health or the Department of Education. In terms of what's changed there, you can see that on January 17th, the website for PDE reflected that the closures would be if contact tracing could not be complete. If we didn't have a way to get it done in time, that would be a factor. In addition to that, we've told you before, if staffing would be a factor, that could be another reason we would need to close for a day or pieces like that. And we're not recommending a change to that column at this time. So the purpose of that update was for public transparency, just to kind of try to explain something that's been a recurring question amongst the community. And that concludes my report. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Flannery. Okay, we go into personnel. First item is job descriptions for our support staff. Do I have a motion for approval?
So moved.
Second. Any comment? All in favor?
Aye.
Against? So moved. Retirements. Professional staff. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
And we need to look at these under the, we have some long time individuals who are going to be retiring from Manheim Central. And it's always tough. I look down here at Diane Miller, 39 years, 36 in Manheim. And she had all 3 of my children, I think. But on my behalf, and the board can chime in, I want to thank all the retirees and hope they have a very pleasant retirement. Anybody else have any? If not, All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Happy retirement. We have a retirement of a support staff. Again, 24 years of service. I have a motion for retirement.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Happy retirement, Becky. And now we would take, I think we can take D, E, and F.
So moved.
Second.
Any questions? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? So moved. Think that we can look at G, H, and I.
So moved.
Second.
Any comments?
Just want to welcome them all to Manheim Central. Glad to have you.
Right. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? I know we have one. Is there any more of our new? Stand up. Welcome. You know, I apologize, but what is your name? I thought Nicole. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm looking at a bright white light.
The projector's right in his eyes.
Wait. Thank you very much. All right, thank you. Welcome to everybody, and I apologize. I'm going to see that white light all night long. Thank you, Mr. Howell. All right. I'm sorry, I have any problems. So we're down to, like to take J and K together.
So moved.
Second.
Questions? All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
So moved. And I'd like to take L, M, N, and O.
So moved.
Second.
Questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? So moved. Take Q,
So moved.
excuse me, I'm sorry. We're getting. And it's P, Q, R, S, and T.
So moved.
Second.
Any questions? All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? So moved. All right, now we get to our individual reports. Mr. McGeehan, Treasurer's Report.
I'll assume nobody had any questions on any of the financial statements or fund payments. So I make the motion, we approve item A, financial statements for November 21st, 2021. Monthly invoices for November 2021. Financial statements for December 2021. And the monthly invoices for December 2021.
Second.
Any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? So moved.
And a motion to approve the high school renovation invoices. And also the high school renovation change orders.
Second.
Okay, we have a first, we have a second.
Rob.
Rob, okay. Any questions?
Just a question for Mr. McGeehan. Curious, I know you've always been very thorough looking at change orders in the past. Would you say that these explanations are a little more helpful than previously or about the same?
Yeah, I think they're more helpful than they were, especially with the chart that sums everything up. I mean, that's previously you tend to forget what we already approved, but with the chart for this project, you get to see everything that accumulates.
Mhm.
So that's much more helpful.
I would second that. I agree. Getting. in-
Seems good to me.
Yeah.
I
it makes it a
know
lot nicer.
Pat's a-
I have a question. Repair a leak in the dishwasher.
I was going to ask that when,
High school renovation leak for the high school. I'm assuming that's our present dishwasher.
yeah.
Yes, it is.
All right, any other questions? All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
So moved.
And the last thing is next step house renovation invoices. I make a motion that we approve those invoices.
Second.
Any question?
I just have one question. Brian, do you know where we're at status wise with that? How far into the project we are or completion?
I'd say we're probably about 35% in there. They've pretty much torn out. They're getting ready to do some of the mechanicals, the electric and those types of things. So probably, between 30 and 40%.
Thank you.
Okay, well, any other comments? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? So moved. We also had 2 students that graduated this week and will be moving on to bigger and better things. All right, board committee reports. Business ops, Mr. Linder.
All right, I guess I'm up. So nothing to report at this time. Our next meeting is going to be February 17th at 6:30 in the district office. So I invite anybody that would like to attend to come on in. Thank you.
Academic committee, Dr. Frick.
Next meeting dates to be determined, and that ends my report.
Thank you. Activity committee, there's nothing to report at this point. That ends my report. General action items. Need approval for section A, approval of the accelerated budget opt-out resolution to stay within the tax rate index of 3.4%.
So moved.
Second.
All right, under comments, that 3.4, we're going to stay within that. That does not mean that is the final percent. That final percent will come up later. We just agree that we are not going above that. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? So moved. Resolution approving the Lancaster County Technical Center proposed general fund budget.
I'll make a motion.
Second.
Okay, and I might ask you not to forget to sign your own ballot and bring it up here for Mr. Howard. All right, any comments? Otherwise, all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
So moved. Read about it. Okay, we're looking at this, looked like we could take C, D, E, and F.
So moved.
Second.
Any comments, questions?
Yeah, could someone explain in local Manheim terms what the right of way is? It looks like, is it along the creek or is it by the covered bridge?
It's actually part of the high school project. So as part of that project, PP&L has to put some lines on our property, and we just have to officially allow them access to do that.
Okay. I do take umbrage by the way it reads, "Know all men by these present." You must have been an old template they used.
I'm sure it was.
I'm sure it was.
Where is it though, Brian? Where is it right away? Is it where it currently is for the PP&L?
It is coming off of East Adele, down towards the stream, yes.
Okay, all right.
Any other? All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Approved. All right, how about we take G, H, and I together?
So moved. Second.
All right. Any questions?
Quick comment. I think Officer Webb does a fantastic job for Manheim Central.
Yeah, I
Second this.
I'll third it. He's a blessing to have, and our kids are very happy to have him. He's very approachable, and I'm happy he's here. Any other questions? If not, all in favor? Aye. Opposed? So moved. All right, now we come to the board representative report. Mrs. Walker, Lancaster Lebanon IU 13 report.
All right, so we had our meeting on the 12th, and some of the highlights from our meeting was that Matthew Stem was appointed to serve as the new executive director for the IU 13, and that will take place April 1st. During the meeting, Mr. Mike Landis from Warwick, the representative from Warwick, was honored for his years of service as the board president. And then Dr. Joseph Fullerton was elected as the new board president at the IU. And we had our committee meetings prior to the board meeting. It was very informative and very long, but it was good.
All right, thank you, Mrs. Walker. Excuse me, Lancaster County CTC report. Mr. Gerhart.
Trying to get this to work here, but I have the CTC, and our first committee meeting is Thursday, and I will be attending that. And then they put me on their finance committee down there, and I have a finance committee Wednesday. So next time I'll have a little more for you.
Okay, very good. PSBA, Mr. McGeehan.
Question first for all our new members. Are you getting emails from PSBA? Okay, and I hope you're reading them. Secondly, all the new members have to take 5 hours of training between now and the end of this period in November. So there's a schedule. I saw on the bulletin today, they had a schedule for both live training and online training. So you can work out that any way you want to. And the re-elected officers, Matt and Steve, have 3 hours to take this time around. So just a reminder there. Otherwise, pretty much everything that needs to be said on the bulletins that we've been getting. I didn't see anything of note that was
okay,
super important.
Very good. Lancaster County Academy report. I put in each one's the latest executive director report. There's good things happening. You can also see in the back that Manheim Central already has 2 graduates. That ends my report. Let's go into informational items on the enrollment report. Upcoming school board meeting will be January 24th. Yes. Oh, my God.
Oh, that's it.
Oh,
That's a piece that you reviewed.
I just read what it said. All right, there will not be a school board meeting workshop on February 14th, Valentine's Day. So we'll leave everybody have a happy Valentine's Day. Our next board meeting will be on February 28th. Board comments. McGee.
Mike, when we have our public speakers, instead of interrupting them at 30 seconds, could we have a 1 minute sign?
Okay.
And then a 30-second sign?
I knew that as soon as I had it done, but since
Yeah,
since I did it with the first one, I thought I had to do it the second
Yeah,
one.
I understand that,
Yeah.
but it breaks up their train of thought.
Absolutely.
I'm not blaming you because I know we have to do it, but I think if we have a sign to put up, that'll work a lot better.
I agree wholeheartedly.
And I want to welcome Dr. Axe if he's still in, to the school district. Looking forward to that. I think he'll be a good fit for the district and we'll move ahead.
Mrs. Walker, anything?
I would echo that. Welcome, Dr. Axe. We're excited. And one of the things that I was thinking of as someone was speaking, I really enjoyed the Student of the Month. Is that something that we be bringing back? Okay, that'd be great.
So I just want to echo, welcome, Dr. X. Excited to have you here. I think everybody that I've talked to within the school and within the community is echoing the same thing. So I know they will all be excited to have you here on the first. I want to congratulate and thank everybody that's retiring. There's been a lot of tenure, but at the same point in time, we have some new faces coming in. So thank you to you also. Lastly, one idea maybe from what you're talking about, Pat, that I'd ask Mr. Detmore is, do you think maybe we could put a timer up on the screen for them that they could see their 3 minutes that way?
Yeah.
They know during the whole speaking time that what they have available.
That's, we had that the last time and no, I'll take full responsibility for that. We'll get that for the next time. Mr. Yasway?
I want to thank the folks who provided us all these nice goodies. Certainly is appreciated. You know, the real appreciation is seeing the students do well, seeing them graduate last year. That was neat. And then the fine things they're doing. And it was really nice to have the one group play for us. That was really special. But when I burn this lavender candle, I will think of those things.
I just like to say, in the same vein, it takes the sting out of not getting the pay raise.
They doubled our pay, man.
Yeah. All right, Dr. Frick.
Just echoing some similar sentiments. Just a thank you for the kind gestures from all the administration, but just kind of reciprocating that a bit and saying thank you to faculty, staff, administration, maintenance, cafeteria staff, everybody that supports the learner in a variety of different ways. I think collectively your work is so important, and we just express thanks for you and what you do each and every day. Certainly we give time and certainly we give effort and discuss things and come to decisions, but ultimately you implement a lot of what decisions we make. So we appreciate all of what you bring to the table each and every day. And just welcome Dr. Axe to the learning community, and we'll look forward to working with him moving forward.
Mr. Sensenik.
Yeah, I'd also like to echo the thank yous for everything. And Dr. Axe, it was pretty clear early on that he is a good fit for our community. And I'd also like to say too, as a new guy on the board, I really enjoyed the process so far. I truly mean that. It's been a good group of people here to work with, and it's been good.
Mr. Gerhart.
Yeah, I want to say the same thing, Dr. Axe, welcome, and the new teachers, I saw that, that's great, new job coming on. And the lucky retired guys, I mean, that's nice they're getting out and enjoy life some more. The board, I'm a new member also, it's been great working with everybody here. I think we have a good combination, seems to be going good, so. And I really like the comments from the FFA, Amy, that you said up there, and that brought a little bit to the people and to us. It's nice, it'd be nice to do every time. But,
We had, Mr. Gerhart, we had the past years, every month, we had learners of the month from each of the elementary, middle school. That stopped because of our COVID, but I think we're going to get back into that already. Okay.
Thank you.
Mr. Bushy.
I don't have much to say, but thank you and welcome, Dr. Axe.
Okay, and I want to echo, I was very pleased with the way we all handled the selection of our new superintendent. And it's my hope that we can all, as a board, work in a group of 10. And we're not always going to agree, but we can usually work everything out. To everybody, thank you very much. Dr. Axe, really glad to see you coming. New teachers, old administration over there. Thank you very much. Motion to adjourn.
Second.
So moved.
Thanks, everybody. Well done.
Don't forget the